Hello and welcome to the Portadown Preview Show. This is Season 2, Episode 27. I'm Dave Wiggins, and joining me this evening in the absence of our host, Neil, is Mark Beattie. How are you, Mark?
Yeah, not too bad, Dave. Thank you.
Very good. You're just sitting on a deck chair there at Shamrock Park.
Yeah, absolutely. It's 20 past 8 here on a Wednesday night, and the sun's splitting the trees. Love it.
It's holding up well. Of course, stretch in the evenings.
It is,
isn't it? We're also joined this evening by Stephen Crawford, senior sports reporter for the Belfast newsletter and Coleraine supporter on the side of that as well. How are you?
Not too bad, Dave. Still trying to go over the traumatic weekend there.
Yes, we'll talk about that a wee bit later on, but I'm sure that was very hard to take. And reading the forums the next day, of course, people have woken up and sort of the disappointment has come out in all sorts of ways, you know. And I suppose when you get beaten in a cup final, there's a lot of reflection goes on. And but I have to say, as a Portadown supporter who hasn't seen us in a cup final for 7 years, it would be nice to be in a cup final every once in a while. So I think Coleraine supporters, while you were 2-0 up and you've got beaten there, I suppose it's nice to be involved in a cup final as well. Maybe you can't say that after the fact.
Yeah, I think we've been fortunate in the last few years. We've been to quite a few cup finals of late. So, yeah, I suppose that's some sort of thing to take out of it, like, you know. And I think you lose any cup final, it's hard to take. But I think when you're 2-0 up, it's an equally difficult one to get the grips with at the end of it, Dave.
Absolutely. So listen, Mark, well, Steve, we'll maybe talk a wee bit more about that later on if it doesn't depress you too much. But Mark, so looking back at the weekend past, Portadown played Ballymena United at Shamrock Park. Went home with a 1-0 victory, 3 points in the bag. It's becoming a habit, isn't it?
2 weeks in a row. I actually said after the match, I don't know what to do with my hands here. We've beat somebody at home. It's not 1 point. Yeah, it's been a long time coming. There's been a lot of games where we've sort of been in that position and threw it away, or had the chance to get the 3 points, but you know, either a silly mistake or pressure's told in the end or whatever. But listen, it wasn't a classic performance, but it was a grinding out performance. And I don't really think there was one chance Ballymena had where Conor Keeley skied it. It looked like he was certain to score, but outside of that, it didn't really open us up at all, and we sort of looked resolute.
That's on my bingo. Hold on, that's on my bingo list. Resolute. Resolute, yeah.
And we looked dangerous from the break as well. You know, we still held a threat, even though we were trying to eke out the 3 points. We probably could have put the game away a couple of times. Stephen Taggart missed a couple of good chances. Yeah. I think we were well worth 3 points, even though maybe we didn't have the majority of the ball in the game. But that doesn't really matter. The only stat that matters is the score at the end of the day, and what a goal to win it from Adam Sally. You know, nobody expected him to shoot from where he shot from, and I don't think Sean O'Neill expected it either. He just sort of watched it fly into the bottom corner, and yeah, we needed it. I think everybody in the club needs this sort of upturning form, points on the board. It's getting into the business end, and this is where maybe hopefully finding our feet a wee bit under Paul Doolan. And it doesn't really matter what you do the whole season as long as you finish well and finish where you want to finish. So hopefully that's where we're headed. And we'll have a couple of home games in a row to end up the season before the split. So yeah, it's been good. Performances are better. We look a bit more settled. I think it's the first time Paul Doolan's played 2 settled 11s in 2 separate games. So that's starting to show as well. So yeah, good.
You're happy enough?
I am happy, absolutely. It's been a long season of disappointment, and it's been hard on here as well. I know for Neil, talking to Neil and stuff, and he said he feels like he's saying the same things every week. You know, sort of almost there but not quite, and we're sort of not picking up the points we should be picking up, but now we are. So it's a bit nicer to talk about a win on the podcast than it is a disappointment. You know.
Yeah, man, 7 points picked up out of 9 there, and Stephen, when we're coming into this business end of the season, and obviously Coleraine are trying to stay in 6th place and be in with the European playoff sort of stuff, and we're we seem to be clicking at the right time, where we've struggled along all season. With Paddy McNally back starting on Saturday, and Mark, I took Resolute off my list there, but he helped us to be more resolute, didn't he? It's not taken away from any other defender, but Paddy's great at what he does there in centre of defence. So it really is the business end of the season, Stephen.
Yeah, now's the time that you want to be hitting a bit of form, and obviously the last 3 games you're unbeaten, and as you said, 7 out of 9, which is massive. I think the Warren Point victory was probably, not only was it 3 points, but it's a big morale booster for probably everybody involved, just to open up that gap. And now you've got Carrick Rangers in your sights, it gives you that a target to aim for. Like, it was crazy to think how Carrick Rangers started the season and where they're at now, and they can find themselves in a bit of difficulty now when the split comes and you're playing the teams in and around you, for the next month. And it'll be interesting to see how they handle the pressure. Like, obviously Portdown's been in that position for most of the season. They know what it's like getting into games they got, with the pressure's mounting, so the tables have turned a wee bit for them.
I think so, and obviously we played them the other Tuesday night there, and we were 2-0 up, and they came back in the second half and scored 2 goals. And if we had held out that match, we'd be sitting level in points with them, although their goal difference is much better than ours. But I think all we can do is just keep working hard, and you're hoping to catch Carrick Rangers there, because I really don't fancy being in a playoff come the end of the season. And I went to watch Loughgall against Newry on Tuesday night past, just to get out of the house. It's only up the road, and no disrespect to the Championship, we've been there, but it's tough out slogging in that league. It was a kicking session, on a muddy, heavy pitch, and boy, I don't fancy that again. So it just, I hope the players and everybody are listening to that. We do not want to be in those playoff places. We want to be finishing 10th or above and really pushing hard here towards the end of the season. And we've got 2 home matches here, and then after the split, we've got 3 home matches out of the 5 as well. So, it's almost in our hands to do it. And obviously, we have to play Warren Point and Carrick and Dungannon and probably Glenavon and Ballymena as well. So those are all the teams in round us, and it's going to be an interesting running, that's for sure. So we mentioned the League Cup final. Cliftonville beat Coleraine 4-2 in the end after extra time. Coleraine sitting 6th in the league. We're at that business end of the season. What's Colerane's end of season shaping up like, Stephen, do you think?
I think if they had won the cup on Sunday, it would have given a real big boost going into split games. Saturday's result for you was a big result for Coleraine as well, because it keeps that sort of Ballymena a wee bit further away for top 6, and obviously lost last night. So this Saturday they have a chance to secure a top 6 finish, a victory at Shamrock Park. Obviously it's going to be a very tough game, but I think if they did that, then obviously it gives them, they can just focus on the remaining games in the split. Obviously European playoffs is where it's at now for Coleraine. I think we're probably hoping that maybe the Glens and Cliftonville and Nunfield swallow up the 3 automatic positions, and then you're left with one of Glenavon, Ballymena, ourselves, Crusaders and Larne for the remaining spot. And under day, any team's capable of beating anybody. I think if they got Europe this year, because it is a bit of a transition season this year, that would be a massive boost, but it's by no means going to be an easy turnaround. A lot of work still to be done, and particularly Prioran trying to lift the boys again after the disappointment from Sunday.
Yeah, I suppose we haven't been in the top half of the table for a while, but see if you secure 6th place going into the split, is that kind of satisfactory? Is that where you just go, right, we're in the playoffs now? Are you trying your best to try and get into 5th or push on sort of thing? Or do you just...
I think you try to finish as high as possible, because you don't want to get into those playoffs not having won a game. You know what I mean? Like, I think you have to be trying to get into those playoffs. It's a bit like you were saying there about the playoff at the bottom. You don't want to be getting in there. You're playing against a team who are flying from the Championship, and you're struggling to get points on the board. You want to be getting in with a bit of form. So I think it'll be for like 5 cup finals, although there's nothing major to play for. It's just to try and get that form so you're hitting the ground running whenever the European playoff comes along.
Yeah. obviously this disappointment of the League Cup final will be lingering a little bit. Where did it all go wrong on Sunday, do you think? First of all, listen, I'm sure you enjoyed it. It was a great occasion. Me and Levi went up to it and had a good afternoon out. Big crowd. There's nothing worse than Windsor Park in an Irish League Saturday because it's empty. You're just
Yeah.
rattling. But actually to see 10 or 11,000 supporters in it, it was brilliant, wasn't it? And it was very colourful, and the weather was decent, and there was a lot of banners and singing, bit of chanting, but that happens from time to time.
That's it. No, I think it was fantastic to see over 11,000 there, and I think big praise to Niffle for looking at it and saying, right, well, how can we maybe make the League Cup as glamorous as the Irish Cup? Because I think in the past it has been the sort of poor relation. People have maybe, not prioritised it until they get to the latter stages of it. So I think now it's given fresh life into it. As for the match itself, I thought, as Oren said after the game, the game plan was working right up to Joe Gormley scored on the 74th minute. I thought Coleraine were the better side. The first half was a pretty turgid affair, but it did what Coleraine needed to do. They restricted Clinville, and after they scored the first, I think they were quite right to get the second. I think they were the better side. I don't know if it was just that sort of, what is it they say, the old cliche, 2-0 is a dangerous lead. They sat in a bit, maybe too much, and Gormley coming on, like, he's a quality player. Like, people try to say that he's finished this, that, and or he caused us all sorts of problems.
He knows how to finish
he's unreal, like, and I don't know why he's not starting games. Maybe that's just Paddy doesn't maybe feel that he's, he'd rather go with certain boys up front from the start, but he certainly makes an impact when he comes on. Took his goal really well, or 2 goals in fact, and they only got an extra time as well. Obviously the sending off when it goes to extra time, I think the momentum's all with Cliftonville, and that's the last thing Coleraine needed, was to go down to 10 men, and that just makes it very, very difficult. If only Curtis Allen had nicked that third one maybe a couple of minutes earlier, I give us more of a sweat. But
if he'd maybe even come on a wee bit earlier, it was very, very late in the game to give him a run. But I'm not the manager, right?
That's it.
I think when you're 2-0 up, it is dangerous, because once the other team scores one, they absolutely fly up the gears, and the team are panicking as well, and once they scored one, you could feel it coming. You could feel it in the stadium and everything, because Coleraine had given so much to get themselves into that position to almost see it out,
But like, Clinville are a fantastic side. Out of all the teams, I've watched nearly every team this season. They're the side that impresses me the most, not just for the way they play football, but for the quality they have. Like, and obviously boys like Jim McDonough have been excellent this season and grabbed the headlines. But people like Johnny Addis, who was probably everybody sort of thought maybe questioned that signing, he's been superb for Cliftonville. Chris Lowe is another one who's settled in there really, really well. Chris Gallagher in the middle of the park. Guys like that maybe don't get the headlines every week, but that's what makes them tick and gives the forward players the opportunity to go and win games. There
was one moment in the match that typified Cliftonville for me. The ball it might have been for the third goal. I thought the ball was rolling out, and Chris Curran just ran and got the cross in. And most other players probably would have given up on the ball. And at that stage of the game where it was laid on, I just thought that was absolutely brilliant. Did you watch the game, Mark?
I sort of watched bits of it. I think what you're saying is all right there. Cliftonville, I know they're one of the part-time teams up towards the top end of the table, but the depth that they have, especially going forward, it's scary. Like they could bring off someone like Joe Gormley off the bench. If you're in opposition defence, you see that coming on, you go, jeepers, I played 70 minutes here and now I have to face this. He's just so sharp, his runs are so smart. But is it Paul O'Neill brought on as well?
Yeah, and Chris Curran as well.
It's scary to be able to have that depth to change the game, and that's maybe why Paddy McLaughlin likes Joe off the bench, because he does come on and affect games for 20, 25 minutes, whatever, toward the end, and he changes things. Momentum you mentioned there, and that's such a big thing in sport. And when you bring on someone like that, you've got momentum already. Without doing much, just making the substitution that gives you the momentum to maybe push on and be a match winner, and that's what they have. They have just so many match winners all over the park.
Yeah, brilliant. Right, we'll leave that behind, Steve. Well, I might bring it up a wee bit later. A few players went off injured and sent off,
Yeah.
but which I think impacts on the match between Coleraine and Portadown on Saturday. But listen, take off your sports journalist hat for a minute and put your Coleraine bobble hat on, okay? I've got 10 quick fire questions for you just to break it up a wee bit here. So don't think about it too much. I'm not going to offend anybody.
Hope not.
Here we go. All-time favourite Coleraine player?
Pat McAllister.
Very good. First player you think of whenever I say Portadown Football Club?
Vinnie Organs.
Good. Most memorable Coleraine goal that you've seen?
Maybe Darren McCauley's in the 2018 Irish Cup final, just because that changed the game that day. It was an unbelievable strike.
Good. Did you win the cup that day?
Yeah, 3-1 against Cliftonville.
At the one Jimmy Nesbitt floating about the pitch. Still floating about on Sunday. Big names at the match on Sunday. It was Eamon Holmes.
Everybody was out.
Don Finucane MP. They were all there. Upper Bann or Lower Bann?
Lower Bann.
First word that comes into your head when I say Oran Kearney?
Genius.
There we go. I would have accepted professional. Stone Island or Pretty Green?
Pretty Green.
There you go. Stone Island's too expensive anyway. 3G or grass?
Grass.
Portrush or Port Stewart?
I see I'm caught here. It depends what you're going for. If it's a night out or with a family. So I say maybe Port Stewart.
Good job. Favorite away match?
Away match in the past or places they go?
Aye. Favorite place you like to go for an away match?
Probably Windsor, because if you get a result there, that means a lot more. So it does.
Yeah, fair enough. Last one, score prediction for Saturday. I'm writing it down.
Going for a 2-1 away win.
2-1 away win. Fair enough. So that segue brings us on the So, Mark, we're hosting Coleraine at Shamrock Park this Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
First of all, if you understand it, do you want to tell us about the National Lottery NIFL partnership?
Yeah, I sort of understand it. So, as part of the National Lottery's football weekends, their partnership with NIFL, they've given supporters a chance to buy a ticket and get one free. To do that, you have to actually go to physically buy a ticket. So the club will be open on Thursday night, Thursday the 17th of March, between I think 7:30, 8. I'll check that. Yes, between 7:30, 8 on Thursday night. You can go and buy your ticket, and you'll be given a free ticket to bring a friend to encourage someone to come to Shamrock Park that maybe doesn't go, maybe it hasn't went in a long time, and you'd like to bring them to show the fun that we can have at local football. The one stipulation is that you have to show that a National Lottery ticket that you've bought. That can be a lottery ticket, it can be a Euro Millions, it can be a scratch card or whatever, as long as it's a National Lottery purchase, and that will give you your free ticket along with the one you purchase. So it's a bit of an initiative that has been brought from the National Lottery and NIFL. So
yeah. I mean, I encourage supporters to avail of that if there's people in your life who, and I think you can get two free.
Yes, you can get two per person as far as I know.
Yeah, so if you buy a ticket and there's someone in your life who sometimes talks about football or something, or you wanted to invite along, it's a good opportunity to get them a free ticket for the match, and then the club gets reimbursed for that money. So I think it's worthwhile supporting that if you possibly can, yeah. While we're at it, please like and subscribe to We Are Ports TV. Did you get that right, Mark?
Yes, perfect. Hit that, smash that like button.
Stephen, I had my son Levi in the podcast last week, me and him, because we were stuck basically. His favourite part was saying smash that like button.
Happy days.
We all want to be YouTubers, don't they? Like, so that's where we're at. So Portadown v Coleraine on Saturday. Mark, How do you see it going?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, is the honest truth. After our recent run of form, things have picked up a wee bit. We look a bit brighter, a bit more confidence running about the squad. And just even chatting to a few of the players and stuff, they are excited. They feel like all their work's paying off now, and they're gelling a wee bit more. And there seems to be the odd goal in us now, which hasn't been in a wee while. And I think if we put it together, there's no doubt we can pick up points, especially at home, especially at Shamrock Park. Playing against Coleraine down the years, so Coleraine have been a good side this last number of years. There's no doubt about that, especially under Coleaine. They have match winners there as well and stuff, but they always seem to be able to. They're a hard team to break down. Their defense is always solid. The midfield works hard and stuff. Laurie makes them tick so well. But at Shamrock Park, generally the games are quite close. There's not a whole lot between the two teams generally. Usually the odd penalty or two for Mr. Bradley, but I'm looking forward to it. I think if our guys work hard and gel together, it could click, and I do believe we could pick up a point or three if it goes well, you know.
Yeah. Stephen, as good as Coleaine have been in the last number of years, you know, unless you're Linfield, right, or I suppose Crusaders have done it in more recent years over a sustained period of time. We're both provincial clubs, right? Both from big towns. You know, you kind of, your seasons, you know, as the years go by, it kind of goes like that, doesn't it? There's peaks and troughs, and you know, while Coleraine have been good over a couple of years, do you sense that there's a wee bit of a trough there at the minute, or do you think Coleraine are kind of doing all right? I'm saying that because you know, you've had the European football, you know, you've won the League Cup, and now European football looks less likely. No silverware, maybe just some players getting a bit older. There's a bit of a change there, and I suppose if Oran Kearney can get that right, then you'll not dip too far. But if that really doesn't happen, I mean, there could be a bigger trough.
I think the squad does need a bit of rejuvenation, and I think the manager probably knows that more than anybody, you know, and then he's probably plans in place for come the end of the season. What makes things more difficult now is obviously you've got the 4 full-time teams who are capable of offering contracts to players, which the part-time teams just cannot match. I think geographically, Coleraine have always suffered as well with trying to persuade people that there's a world outside of Belfast. They travel an hour up the road, and you know, and you probably have suffered something similar yourselves at Portadown, like, you know, so those things go against you too when you're even Ballymena, even though it's only an hour 20 or 5 odd minutes up the road, team players will maybe gravitate towards there, you know, as well. So these are the challenges, but I think the big pulling power is Oran and what he's achieved, you know what I mean? And I think that once players talk to him and see his vision, and like he sees this as a long-term project, and obviously a lot of work has gone on this season behind the scenes in terms of the ground and the infrastructure and a lot of the activities and match day scenarios that now the club are doing and bringing a lot of legends back, you know, interacting more with the fans. That work is very important as well, but obviously you want a winning team out in the park. So I think it's just, as you say, it's maybe just a wee dip this year in terms of league form, but you have to look at what you're competing against as well. When you look at the teams above us, you've got 4 full-time teams and Cliftonville who have invested heavily in the summer. So is 6th place probably where Coleraine should be, possibly, you know what I mean? It's probably a wee bit of disappointment this season compared to the last 2 seasons, but I don't think it's a disaster by any means. Yeah,
you've hit the nail on the head there. In some, well, first of all, I'd bite my arm off if Portadown could finish in 6th place, but you know, when you've been doing so well, the expectations grow, don't they? So then if you're only doing slightly less well, you've seen, and listen, we know what fans are like. We're all fans. The slightest blip or the slightest, it can seem like an absolute disaster, you know. And
100%,
you know, losing a cup final to a team like Cliftonville, who are challenging for the league title, it's no disgrace by any means. And Yeah, and I suppose Coleraine, yeah, I can see it. They're working hard off the pitch as well, and just setting things right and tidying up the ground, and all of that too is so important as we move into the future. So I suppose Jamie Glacken got stretchered off on Sunday, didn't he?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Shevlin limped off.
So Shevlin had a head injury, so I think there's obviously protocols in terms of that there. I'm not sure how many days that you have to go without being involved
10
again.
days maybe, isn't it?
Glax, I don't think he'll be involved. He had a very bad ankle. I think the way he fell. Obviously, James McLaughlin will be suspended, possibly. I'm not sure. But Conor McKenzie, in terms of his, he picked up another yellow. So the squad will be tested fully. But I think when you've got somebody like young Patrick Kelly there, 17, playing his first final on Sunday, he was just reveling in it, so it's great to give a guy like that, a longer run on the side, and he's earned this opportunity. Like, I don't think he looked out of place on Sunday. I think if you just tuned into that, you wouldn't realise he was only 17. I think he was fantastic.
So there was a couple of times I just watched him picking up and carrying it as if like he was 27 or 20 years old, and he, do you know what I mean? Just confidence,
He's never been short in confidence there, which is good.
I suppose I'm saying that I'm agreeing with Mark. I see it as a good opportunity for us to maybe gain a point, or 3, but I don't like we'll get slagged off if we're too confident. That's we don't want to be too positive, but I think just with those injuries and maybe it's going to be one or the other. It's going to be an absolute bounce back, or it's going to be, Coleraine have had the stuffing knocked out of them on Sunday, and it's hard to regroup and pick up the morale for everybody. But looking forward to it again. The weather's on the turn here, so it's going to be nice. It's going to be a good afternoon out at Shamrock Park. If I'm not sure what state the pitch is in. I know the players were training on it on Tuesday night as well. So who knows who that might suit and who it might not suit. But again, business end of the season. These are the matches that I suppose Coleraine. Is there a chance Coleraine could still finish 7th, or are they more or less cemented in 6th?
I think there's an outside chance depending on what Glenavon do. The games sort of fall for us good on Saturday because Glenavon, they play Cliftonville and Ballymena play Glentoran, so 2 tough games for those. I think they have to win the remaining 2 games, and we would have to lose all 3 of our. They have any chance, So
are you away at Warren Point on Tuesday night?
Away to Warren Point on Tuesday night, yeah.
That's a game in hand, isn't it?
Yeah, and then we play Glenavon next Saturday, so that's the final game. But there's a question for both of you. When was Coleaine's last away win in the league this season?
Ooh,
good question.
Listen, if you Johnny Dunlop on here,
I think it'll probably surprise you whenever I tell you.
What's this? I don't know. A couple of months ago, I don't know.
You beat the Cruise a while ago on TV. But was that the last one?
13th of October was our last away one in the league.
That's wild, isn't it?
No, I think it paints me a wee bit of a false picture because obviously we had a lot of home games because we played all the away games first, and all the cup games bar the last round, the Irish Cup, we were all at home. So it's not as many away games, but it just looks bad when you say you haven't won away from home in the league since mid-October.
Until last week, all we could have said was you need
So I think that's something that they'll be trying to put right as well. And I think the first 20 minutes will obviously be very important because I say usually come flying out the traps. They saying, look, Coleaine maybe in a bit of a downer here, let's get at them, and confidence will be high. I'm sure Paul Dillon will be sending them to get ripped in because that Irish Cup tie up at the showgrounds there in January, it was, Ports were very unlucky that day. They should have got something out of it, but just fine margins at the end of it.
Yeah. I think sometimes Coleraine do struggle just to, obviously, over the last number of years, they've been much stronger. Coleraine have been much stronger than us, but in the last couple of seasons, they've struggled just to get out. Even when you've beaten us 2-0 maybe at the showgrounds, you've just about beaten us. It's been a struggle for Coleraine.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about us that maybe Coleraine struggle with. They seem to cancel each other out for a good period of the game, but I fancy us at home. We're on a wee run there, I think, and there's every opportunity to maybe get a point or 3.
The one thing I always think about Coleraine is there's so much experience all over the park. I know we talked about young Kelly, but the amount of senior pros that are about that squad is scary. And then, in fact, when you look at our squad, our back four from last week, with Paddy coming back in, they give Greg Hall and Michael Ruddy at the fullbacks, and Beverland and McNally in the middle, and that's as experienced the back fours we've had in a hell of a long time. There's plenty of Irish League games there, especially Hard Beverland's been around a long time. He knows what he's at. So something that we've sort of started to gain maybe a wee bit more experience in key positions that Coleraine have had, and maybe I think that's been the difference in a lot of games between us and Coleraine is that know-how of how to close a game out and how not to throw it away almost that we haven't had. So maybe that's equalised a wee touch with Paddy coming back in for us, you know.
Will it come down to who takes their chances, Stephen, in the end? I mean, that's a football cliche, but
yeah, no, 100%. Like in the last few weeks, Coleraine haven't really been scoring a bucket full of goals. That, you know, they sort of struggled. Maybe they find a striking partnership. You know, Matthew Seven, that was his 20th goal this season on Sunday, but he hasn't really maybe had someone else to play in and around him. You know, so I think you're right. Like obviously Adam Saleh is a boy. It's not short of confidence. He scored a couple of goals against Coleraine in the past. You know, crackers, and I think Saturdays
scored 2 and 2 here.
Yeah. I think Saturday's goal gave him a lot of confidence too, and he's that unpredictable. You don't know what he's going to do. He's not a penalty box finisher. He could stick one in from 30 yards, no problem. So it makes you a bit wary of coming against guys like that because they're not just going to hang about much on the goal line. So there'll be a lot for Coleraine to think about, and it'll be a tricky enough task, I think, after their disappointment of last Sunday.
Are we likely to see like Andrew Mitchell and Curtis Allen start up front, for example, if they're...
Yeah, I think obviously Mitch was cup tied on Sunday, so I would say he will come in the reckoning, you know, because obviously James McLaughlin and possibly Seven are both going to be rolled out. So it's Bradley, Allen, and Mitch is your strikers, like, you know. So I would say the starting 11 will be still fairly strong, but it's what you can bring off the bench then, or just as your, you know, what you can change the game. So it'll definitely be an interesting matchup now.
Obviously, Andrew Mitchell has a wee soft spot for Glasgow. He might fancy a goal against us.
I will still take off the mark since his move, so I would say he would probably fancy notching one on Saturday, like, you know.
Yeah, there you go. I don't have any other questions, Mark. Anything else floating about your head there?
No, not really. The stream again back on the Matchday live stream on Saturday. We've actually Johnny McNabb from Colerane's media team coming down and doing co-calls with Neil. So it'll get a perspective of both sides. It'll not be the biased commentary as usually is. So yeah, it'll be something interesting for both fans to listen to if they can't make the game. To tune into it and listen to the live stream because it's always good fun.
And how much is that, Mark, for those who aren't getting up the road?
It's £10. It'll be on performasports.tv, and it'll be all linked on our social media, so you can click on it from there and purchase the stream. It has everything. It'll have live replays and two commentators. It'll have all the graphics. It'll have stats coming up. It'll have the scores from around the league and stuff. So it's a pretty good product. We are proud of it. So I would definitely encourage anybody that can't go to the game. I'll obviously go to the game if you can. It's better if you're there. But if you can't for whatever reason, it's a good second choice.
Yeah.
How have you found the streams this year, Mark? With obviously fans back in the ground.
Honestly, we didn't expect much. We didn't know what the take up would be, but it's been really good. It's been so positive. I mean, we're doing it all in house, so we do all the production, all the commentary, everything's done by us. So it made us a lot easier then when it came to when fans were back. But just keep doing it and see how it goes. And yeah, we didn't know what to expect, if there would be 5 people watching or not. But even if it was 5, it was still £10 coming in. You know, it was all profit. But the numbers have been really impressive. I think the numbers are sitting on averaging around 70 or so per match. So it's a profitable end of the club now, and B, it's good fun, and it's another service that we can provide to fans that can't go for whatever reason. We're also doing it anyway because we stream into our club rooms beneath the stand for the boardroom and stuff. So it's something we're going to do regardless if we're going to sell it outside of the club. So yeah, it's been a really positive thing that came out of the lockdown, and we're just going to keep rolling with it and see how far it goes. And in fact, we've started to do the in-stadium audio commentary. So when you're in the ground, there's a QR code, the ELNK QR code, on the backs of all the seats. You can scan it, plug in your earphones and listen to the live commentary as you're watching the match. So it's added something different, especially for maybe people that are partially sighted and can't really enjoy the match as much. It adds another element on that as well. So it's all positive things, and we're just going to keep pushing and see how far we can push these things. You know.
I suppose one of the good things about listening to the audio with your earphones is you don't hear some of the shite that's being shouted.
There's plenty of it, but you had to listen to Neil talking all that shite too. So,
the next time you're down Shamrock Park, the boys, the media team, have got a wee. Well, I was gonna. It's sometimes we call it a booth or a hut, but it's really their own wee club room up there now.
Fridge and everything.
Brilliant.
Comfortable chairs. There's a fridge stocked full. At the full-time whistle, Bill brings them up a pizza or a box of chicken.
Oh, fantastic.
And there's a heater as well. What more could you want?
Listen, all the guys are volunteers, and obviously we appreciate them so much. And by their volunteering, it's a revenue stream that comes into the club as well, which is on a service, but you know, it's a good service and it brings in some money, so it's really good, you know. Any final thoughts, Stephen?
No, as I say, it's a big match for both teams on Saturday. I think it's maybe a game that Coleraine maybe wouldn't have fancied facing Portadown at the moment after these, 2 wins in their last 3 games, and Coleraine still licking their wounds as such. So they'll know they'll be in for a battle on Saturday, and but as I say, they have the car out there, hopefully trying to secure top 6 finish. If they pick up the 3 points.
Well, let's hope for a good match on Saturday afternoon. Let's hope for plenty of goals. And no offence, Stephen, but a Portadown victory. Nice.
Wouldn't expect anything else now.
And listen, don't forget to like and subscribe. We are Port's YouTube channel. And Neil will be back next week with a bit more professionalism than we can muster. Come on, the Ports.